to a fun-filled, jam-packed episode of Let's Talk Jaws Live. Myself, Mike, and
Jay.
The Smith. No, we can't be the Smith brothers. We'd have our own cough drops. We'll be the Smith. The Smith gang.
You like the little names below there? I just figured I'm like, oh.
All right, look at that.
Right?
Yeah. So tonight we are very thrilled, honored, and all that other cool stuff to bring you, courtesy of Eric Augustine, Richard Dreyfuss's Q A at SharkCon a couple weeks ago. I was able to once again moderate it, and I think I saw you have the entire thing, because the one clip Eric had showed my sorry, it's my iPad. I'm not doing like Candyman. Let me hit that and start it so I can see who's here. Yeah. So but you'll see I was going to try to preface what I was going to say, what I said to Richard before he answered, but apparently we have the whole everything shebang. So this is it's fun. It's mostly Jaws centric. I think there were a couple questions, and there's kind of there's some long pauses, and then Richard will start up again. And Svetlana, his wife, kind of said something to me later, because the first time I did it, I didn't want to interrupt him, and I told her that. I said, "I'm sorry, it's Richard Dreyfuss. You know, people aren't here to hear me; they're here to hear him." So I didn't want to interrupt him. But this time, now that I kind of know, we had a little rhythm going. But then when he would finish a question, I would point to the person I was standing in front of with the microphone, and they would sit there and they would stare at me for like 25 seconds. And then Richard would say, and then another thing. And so then it's like, so it's not my fault. It's not my fault. There's some pauses in there. But you'll see Richard. Richard was in great spirits and fine form. And I think we're ready to go. Let me put up a quick disclaimer. Excuse me, I had a cucumber. And during part of some of his answers, Richard curses. I think he uses the F word once. So adult content ahead. And also, once again, we thank Eric very much for letting us use this. This is his property. So please don't copy it. Please don't reproduce it. Please don't throw it on another site. Especially if you're including Jay and I in it, because this is our property. And as Elliot Garfield says, I happen to have a lawyer acquaintance, my brother Jim, and I will sue your ass. So without further ado, let's welcome everybody real quick. Let's see who's here. Victor's here. Eric is here. Awesome. Let's see. James Scott, hello. Kelly is here. All right. Hello to you as well, Victor. Oh, there you go. I like that.
The little Lucas scroll. Disclaimer: the following videos if you are just joining us and you do easily get offended, I suggest this isn't the broadcast for you.
You're watching the wrong show.
Yeah, as you can see, actually, this is footage courtesy of Eric. Eric, thank you so much for doing this. Like you said, Eric has an SD card, which I have to send it back to him too. But Michael says, "Don't share, don't share."
Yeah. You know, I feel bad that when I do a Google search for Jaws 2
and
or for Jaws, and I'll see pictures that I own the copyrights to that people gave me that are in our book, or the ones that Edith sent us, that they show up online.
I'm guilty of that actually, because I mean, it's easy to do because all you have to do is like screenshot it and crop it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's bad, yeah.
I understand that, but this is something that Eric took. This is Eric's property. We thank him again for allowing us to share it. So
Jurassic Park.
So without further ado, I bring you live from Tampa, Florida, where I grew up. And it's so cool to do it while I was there. Richard Dreyfuss and the Q A.
All right, thanks. Good night, everybody.
And thank you and good night. So, what's up? I'll tell you what, you can ask me anything you want. Don't ask me about Jaws.
Uh-oh.
Okay, you want me to point them out?
So that was it. That was it. That was it. Okay, so hold on. Can you read the comments, because I'll be right back. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Hi, Connor. I know there was much more of that because you can see I waddled past. I didn't realize that shirt made me look so fat. I'm guessing Jay is uploading the next video. So, how was everyone's week? Those of us in America, are we all ready for the holiday weekend? And for our Jewish friends, Rosh Hashanah is coming up. Let's see if anyone else has anything else to say. Victor, so awesome it is. So stoked right now. Kelly, thank you. Hi, Donna. Hey, Robert. Robert's here. I hope he has completed his studies and is not playing hooky from the school books. And everyone say hi to Donna. Hello. And I think here we go.
Talk to him. There's a scene in Jaws during the montage when he's talking on the phone, and you say, Michigan, there's no need for me to come to Brisbane because I have a great white right here. Was that a homage to Meyer, Michigan?
Yes, it was. And his son was the driver of the Mars rover.
Wow.
The first one, which lasted for about a minute. He's trained all his life, and then he got onto the Mars rover and it hit a rock, and that's all it did.
Alrighty, raise our hands. In front, yes, sir.
Now, I read an article that you didn't do Jaws 2 because Steven Spielberg wasn't involved in it, but then just right after that you did Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What was your working relationship with Steven Spielberg?
Terrible. Just terrible. I wouldn't do the sequel because it had been done and I knew that they wouldn't spend the money on the script or the director or anybody or the actors. And so I said no, it was easy. But Close Encounters was the noblest idea for a film I'd ever heard of. And I actually badmouthed every other actor in Hollywood to get that part. I used to walk by his office of humor. Or De Niro's crazy. This is true. And then I got the part on the day that I said, Steven, you need a child. And he looked up and said, you got the part. Which I think is a compliment, but I'm not really sure. He said afterwards that had he been married, with children, he would never have done that ending. And I say, with all due respect, bullshit. There is no other ending for Close Encounters, although I have figured out what the trailer is for the sequel. You want to hear it?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sitting at a desk and I say to the camera, I'm the guy that played in the first film where the guy went up, and I'm back. And I can cure cancer, and I can bestow immortality and give you inner harmony and inner peace. But I'm not going to do any of those things until I get a really tough entertainment lawyer, because I know that the film companies are going to try to fuck me. And that's the whole trailer.
Yeah. So, Richard, I met you earlier today. Lefties weren't our right minds.
What?
Lefties weren't our right minds.
Yeah, I remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the scene where...
I can only tell you that actors do all kinds of things that you never see, usually. And someone at that studio decided to keep that one in. And I can't tell you anything more. Okay?
How did you feel when you were picked for Matt Hooper? And did you feel happy that you got the role?
Yes, I did feel happy that I was in a position to be offered great roles, but I actually turned it down. I turned down that part twice. And when Stephen asked to meet me, he said, "Don't read the book." And I'm a really good actor who does what his director tells him, and I have yet to read the book even now. So we had lunch and he told me the story, and I was on the edge of my seat. He said, "So what do you think?" I said, "It's going to be a fantastic movie. You want to do it?" "No." "Why not?" "Because it's going to be a lot more fun to watch than it is to shoot." And I said, "No, because I am the president and founding member of the idiots of the world." And so I turned it down. And then he asked me again a couple of weeks later, and I turned it down. And then I saw the film that I had done right before I did Jaws. And it's a film called The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. And it's a Canadian film, and I had no way of judging, no evaluation technique that I had built in myself yet to watch me for more than 20 minutes at a time. I'd only done TV. And here I am, the lead of a 2-hour movie. And I went insane. And when they asked me what did I think, I said, "Well, I think it's a great movie, and I think you should cut me out of the film. And I know exactly how to do that." And they said, "You're crazy," and threw me out. But I did feel I was inadequate, to say the least. And I knew if anyone buys this film and sees it in America, I'll never work again. So I called Stephen and begged him for the part. And I mean begged him. And then some years later, we were somewhere, and I told him that I had just been what is called deal broke out of another film. And deal breaking means that if they've had a verbal agreement for you to do the movie, that's an agreement. They owe you whatever they said they were going to pay you. And apparently, in this other project, they had to get me to quit, or else they'd have to pay. And I walked into my agent's office and I heard him on the phone with some executive. And he said, "Are you telling me that if Richard doesn't do this, you won't hire any of my other clients?" And I got so angry so fast that the hat that I was wearing went flying through his window, and I picked up the phone and did exactly what they wanted. I quit. And I told that to Stephen. And he said, "Gee, that's what we had to do in order to get you into Jaws." So I learned to be ashamed of myself.
You've ever worked with all of the mechanical issues that you faced, what sort of moments on Jaws kind of made you question what you were doing on the project?
Nothing. I did think and did go on television and say that I didn't think the film would be successful. With my vast experience in the film business of about 7 minutes, that I thought that it would be defeated by its need for special effects, etc., and it wouldn't work. And then I saw the film, and I crawled back to that TV show and told them that I was president of that organization. And I said that I was wrong. The thing that pissed me off was that they said that they made me go back on that show, which they hadn't. And that really rankled. So don't say that. But I did learn, like life experience, and having a career in the motion picture business does give you certain advantages like knowledge and wisdom. And I didn't have any of that. I just opened my yap and spoke stupid things. And so I learned, keep your mouth shut until you know what you're talking about. There was an exhibitor from Boston. Unbelievable. To realize that that's you up there. You're not there, you're there. And you don't know what's going to happen next. And you're in the movie. You've shot the ending. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was so frightened I couldn't begin to tell you. I decided to go and sit up in the balcony where the regular people were, as opposed to the exhibitors and the people from the business. I go up, I'm the only white face in the entire balcony. And I sit down next to Clarence Williams III. You know who that is? Mod Squad. Regular people. And then 20 minutes later, I had forgotten that I had shot it. I was terrified. I'd eaten all my nails, Clarence's nails. Wow. And actually, I can say that it's a brilliant movie, not only because, and mostly because of Stephen, because 20 minutes after we started shooting, or a few days after we started shooting, we realized we had no shark, that the shark didn't work. And there are enough radio mics on Martha's Vineyard that you could follow the progress of the movie just by listening to the radio mics. And they would say, "The shark is not working. The shark is not working." And it wasn't working. It would come up and it would go, and fall over. And then one day you heard, "The shark is working. The shark is working. The boat is sinking. The boat." And I was on that boat. And it was sinking in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We had ripped the bottom out, the anchor had ripped, and it was steadily. And Robert Shaw decided that if he was going to die on the Orca, he was going to be very neat. And so I remember seeing Robert buttoning up his thing here. He went to the stern, to the bow of the boat, and he stood there waiting to die. And Stephen on the workboat had been sending all these safety boats over to our boat to try to save us from dying. And we could hear, "Get the actors off the boat, please. Get the actors off the boat, please." So I'm trying to help a 75-year-old sound man who is in charge of a $50,000 Nagra tape recorder to get his legs over the side of the boat. And that's how they lined up. And he said, "Get the actors off the boat, please." And I yelled, "Stephen, he's 75 years old. Fuck him. Get the actors off." Sure.
Did you ever ride the Jaws ride?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Once. I rode the real Jaws ride.
Richard, we read you had a contentious relationship with Robert Shaw on set, and that there was a bet about doing 20 push-ups. Did you attempt to do them? And if yes, how many push-ups did you do?
We had no contentious relationship. That's a lie. And it's a lie that appeared somehow about 25 or 30 years after the film was shot. And all of a sudden there was this other rumor. But we did not have that. But he did have my number. You know when someone has your number? And if he's got your number and he says you can't do 25 push-ups, you can't. Even if you can, you can't. And so Robert had my number, and I couldn't do whatever the amount was. And I couldn't say, he would say, "You can't jump from the top of the Orca into the water." I could do it. I had spent my life doing shit like that. And not that day. Couldn't do it. And so Robert and Mike Chapman, who was the operator on the film, had both decided that they were going to teach me how to drink. Because I was drinking manly stuff like whatever. What are you drinking? Namby-pamby. I'm going to teach you how to drink. And they did. And basically you know how to drink when your head is clear, you're fine, and you attempt to get up and your legs stay there at the table. That's when you graduate. And Jaws was a long shoot, and so I learned, I had a PhD, I passed all kinds of academic tests, and Robert was a past master at this. He was the Yoda of drinking. So he was trying to negotiate the way down the ladder from the Orca, and he had a glass of bourbon in his hands. And he said, "Help me out, will you, Richard?" I said, "You really want me to help you out, Robert?" He said, "Yeah." I took his glass and threw it into the ocean. And every drinker on that set, 150 guys, went, "Ooh." And I thought, oops. And even Mike Chapman, who was right there, went, "Ooh." So Robert looked at me. Are you aware of Robert Shaw's reputation as an actor? Anyone here, like, stupid about it? Because Robert Shaw could intimidate Jesus of Nazareth. Okay? If he looked at you in a certain way, all you wanted to do was cut your eyes out. And that's what he could do. And so he looked at me that way. And then the next scene was my character at the stern of the boat, trying to get the cleats between the boat and those floating things disconnected. And there's water and water, lots of water. And Robert took the hose, the fire hose, stood behind the camera and pointed the fire hose at my face. And that was the only day that I lost my famous sense of humor. And that was that. There was no feud, nothing. It was that one day. And Robert was a great writer and actor. He had done a performance in Man for All Seasons, playing Henry VIII, which you can all see as the greatest Claudius ever by anybody. And he had also written 2 plays, one of which was called The Man in a Glass Booth. And it was about the Eichmann trial. When Eichmann was caught, the Israelis put him in a glass booth so that no one could shoot him from the room. And this play is about that. And I learned a lot. When Richard Zanuck found out that Robert was competitive, no work was done, because Zanuck is also competitive. And when they found out that they both thought they were great at ping pong, Richard Zanuck would not let Robert go to the set until he had beaten him in ping pong. And unfortunately, he never beat him. So the entire day, which cost about $400,000, was given over to the most expensive ping pong game in history.
Hey, Mike, we're just going to wait. The fourth video wasn't really downloaded completely, so I have the fifth one, but I wanted to play that one. So,
Okay.
So far, there was a bunch of comments. I'm sorry, guys. I would have put them up, but I wanted everybody to see the, the full thing of it. So,
let me preface, kind of fill in a little bit the second video where I'm asking Richard the question. When I did the Q&A with him in Kansas City, he had told me in the green room that if he hears a question that he's heard too many times, you have to give him $10. And when I did the Q&A, I had a question. It wasn't my question. John Conrady asked me to ask Richard. And the question was, when you're eating mashed potatoes, do you ever build Devil's Tower? And as soon as I asked it, I knew he'd probably heard it a million times. And he looked at me and he said, that'll be $10. and we laughed. And then later on after the show, and we're back in the green room, and he comes up behind me and he taps me on the back and he says, hey, and I dropped off camera. Can everybody still hear me? Oops. Jay, can you still hear me? Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry, I dropped off camera. I didn't know if everybody could still hear me. So anyway, Richard asked me where his $10 was. And I thought he was joking. And his wife,
oh my God, I'm so sorry.
There we go. That's okay. And his wife was like, Richard, leave the boy alone. And he's like, you owe me $10. So I gave him $10. So at the beginning of this Q&A, I told them that I basically told the audience that story. And I warned them that if you asked Richard a question he'd never heard before, or he had heard before a lot of times, you had to give him $10. And I said, but I'm going to ask the first question. I said, double or nothing, because I want my money back.
Mm-hmm.
And what I asked him was, you can kind of hear the end of it. His agent was Meyer, Michigan. And Meyer, Michigan was a very nice man. I talked to him several times when I was a teenager. If you ever watched 1941, the guy that's the Hollywood talent scout at the dance contest, his name, they call him Meyer, Michigan. But I asked Richard, I said, because here's a question you've never heard before. I said, Meyer, Michigan was your agent. I said, there is a part in Jaws, the montage when everybody's on the phone, where you say on the phone, Michigan, Michigan, there's no need for me to come to Brisbane because I have a great white right here. And so I asked him, I said, was that a homage to Meyer, Michigan? And then he says yes. And I throw my hands up in triumph like Rocky at top of the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum. So that was kind of, that was the question that he was answering. And that's why I was so excited. I will say I did not get my $20. So I don't know, maybe next time. Let's see if anybody, while we're waiting to get this other video up, let's check out some comments.
Coming.
Oh, okay.
Nate Jones.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah, I'd love Nate would love to see a video, behind the scenes video. Nate, unfortunately, home video was a pipe dream back then. Nowadays on sets, they have people that follow around everybody with video cameras for DVD extras. It would have been fun just to see everything. And I love when Richard tells that story about, Robert wants some help and he throws his drink overboard. I don't know. I know he's not fans of Bill Murray, but Richard loved Robert Shaw. And the last time when I did the Q&A here, excuse me, when I did the Q&A here, he talked a little more about Robert and how they had talked about doing Shakespeare together in 10 years, only because Richard felt he wasn't ready to do Shakespeare. And like Richard says, Robert Shaw, Man for All Seasons, Oscar nomination. where he played Claudius. I think it was a PBS thing he did. It's a brilliant performance. I mean, we know him as Quint, and we love him as Quint, but he did so many other things. He, From Russia with Love, he was Red Gant. He was the hitman was trying to kill James Bond. He was pretty much, in my opinion, the only bad guy in a James Bond movie with Sean Connery who looked like he could have kicked James Bond's ass. Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, The Deep, Black Sunday. Yeah, a lot of performances out there. So if you just know Robert Shaw from Jaws, check out his work.
3 minutes.
Okay, still waiting. Well, let's take the time to mention Robert. Last week, the end of August, the 27th, I believe, was the 43rd anniversary of Robert's passing. He was only 51. And then this past Monday, September 1st, was the 35th anniversary of the passing of Murray Hamilton. So what does that say? Michael, what hotel? I have no idea what that means. Oh, there you go. Mike Hotel, you went to.
Doesn't say. It just drops off. August 28th. Yep.
28th. Thank you, Victor.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's funny. It's like when it ended, I was just like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, shoot, I gotta pull up the clips. And I'm like, I'm like, why didn't 4 download? I'm like, because remember I told you, like, you can't, on my software, Michael, I'm like, oh, I'm all sad. I'm all easy and relaxed. And I'm like, I'm just going to go test it out. I'm like, why isn't it not playing?
Yeah.
Come to figure out, you can't put it on there's 3 different media sources. Anyways, you don't want a lesson on this, but I'm sitting there for like an hour sweating bullets going, oh my God, the 4th one didn't download correctly. So we're waiting on that because I didn't want to go jump ahead. We do have that. We have the last one where you actually end the show, but I just want to get the full aspect of the 4th one in there too. I keep looking at it. It takes forever. It's like, you now have 2 minutes left, 2 minutes and counting.
That's
Hi,
fine.
Connor.
I hope everybody is enjoying this as much as I am.
It's awesome.
And
awesome.
Once again, thank you, Eric, for sharing this
Eric,
with us
so much. Appreciate it.
But as you see, when we came back on, I was like this. I was like Richard watching Jaws because I was there. I was the one helping answer the questions and ask the questions, and I'm still leaning in, waiting, hanging on every word. He's an amazing storyteller. I had back in 2017, I was a guest at the Hollywood show out in Los Angeles, and it was weird because I felt, because it came and got me and took me back to like where you get a goodie bag and you get to pick up this, and you get here's some wine glasses, and there was a company that had they were selling different kinds of chips, and they gave me a bag or 2 of them. And then they asked me, they said, oh, would you mind if we took a picture of you holding the chips? And I'm like, sure, here you go. So I'm thinking later on, somewhere in some third world country, there's like an ad in a magazine that says, Mike Smith loves our chips. And, can you sign our celebrity wall? So I signed with the Barney Miller people that were there. So, and then one of the assistants took me around. She was taking me around and she goes, so what is your next project? And I said, I don't have one now. She goes, I love your work. I'm like, honey, you have no idea who I am. But
you're a star, Michael. You are a star.
I wish.
You are a star.
But I was a low level star because it was like Richard and Bruce Dern and Paul Sorvino and the cast of the guys from Weird Science, and then me. Then me and the Jaws 2 kids. We were on a lower level. But Sunday, it was like dead. So I sat next to Richard for 2 hours and he just told stories. And he told the most amazing stories, full of passion and full of love for his art. the people he worked with. So yeah, what you people are seeing here, this is, this is a hope, a great thrill for you, because you're hearing it, from his voice. I could write a book with Richard, but it would be Richard telling me the story and me telling you the story. This way, you got Richard coming out of his mouth, his words, telling his story. So
that's great. And they also, people don't know too that, and I should bring up that picture, but you did an evening with Richard Dreyfuss sitting on a stage. Tell them that, Michael, you're very humble, which I love about you. Way before this, you actually had an evening with, tell them about that story one.
Yeah. Richard came to Kansas City. They had done, it's called a Jawing with Richard Dreyfuss. And it was kind of the same setup here where you saw he did a Q&A, and then you watched the movie. But at that time, it was my questions. Wasn't the audience. Later on, the audience could ask questions, but I came up with 21 questions that he asked, and then that he answered. And like I said, except for the one about the mashed potatoes, he seemed pretty good with the questions I asked. Because for those of you who don't know, they tried to make a television show out of the movie Catch-22, and Richard was cast in it, and it came out. I'm guessing he made it right after he made American Graffiti, but American Graffiti hadn't come out yet, and because I don't want to say it aired in '74, and the pilot's on YouTube, and it is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not saying this kiss Richard's ass, but Richard is the best part in it. But I asked him, I said, and he'd given this thought. I said, had Catch-22, because it was a war movie, they turned into a comedy like MASH. And the studio who made it, I think it was ABC, the television network, they wanted it to be the next MASH. I said, had it become the next MASH, I said, and you were stuck on that show, the standard 7-year contract, which means, up till, he might be doing one movie a summer up till 81. I said, do you think your career would be different? And he said, oh, most definitely. Most definitely. So it's the hands of fate. Richard was cast and all that jazz, and then he quit, and that's how Roy Scheider got the part. It's amazing how someone else's decision or action can control or have an impact on your life. I mean, even doing that Q&A, I could have, they could have said, oh, we don't want you. We don't know who you are. Are you some crazed Jaws nut that will, show up, naked on stage? And, which I didn't. But yeah, if you're watching this, and thank you again, Eric. You people are catching Richard Dreyfuss at his best, because he's a great storyteller. And I would say next to Morgan Freeman, he would be the person I would want to narrate anything I did, narrate my life. And if you ever see the movie Defending Your Life, when you go up to heaven and they show you different scenes from your life, and you have to defend.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. Sorry.
You have to defend why you're up there, whether you should go on up to heaven or go back down to earth and try again. I would love to have Richard narrate the clips from my life. Here we go.
Scuba diver, but I had never passed the test. I just didn't bother. But I'd been scuba diving for 20 years. And that scene is me already in the cage. And I look at him and I say, I ain't got no spit. I was so terrified. And when I said that, I ain't got no spit, the winch that was holding the cage broke, and the cage fell into the water. and the opening, the door of the cage was the top, and it fell on top of me and locked. And I was maybe that far under, but under is under, and I couldn't get out, and it had ripped off my mask and my oxygen. So I was 2 inches below the surface for maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds, tops, which was counted as equivalent to 6 years by the Einstein Institute. And fortunately, the entire crew were all licensed divers, and they all saved me, got me out. And you have no idea how terrified that can be. And then I used to go scuba diving in Hawaii every Christmas. And one day, the people in Hawaii that we met brought a friend. And we went into the water, and we went 90 feet down to look at this schooner that was buried under the water. And this guy, the stranger, tapped me on the shoulder and went, and I said, so, being president of the Idiot Foundation, I took off my mask at 90 feet down. And that's, I think, on the wall of the Idiot Foundation, that's the first one. And I took off my mask and panicked and went up as fast as I could, only thinking, am I supposed to beat my bubbles or not beat my bubbles? Do I beat them or not beat them? Which one will kill me? I don't know. Okay, go. Boom. And I broke water, and I was alive. And I said to this guy, why did you do that? And he said, I just wanted to see if you could. So we buried him down there at the square. What an idiot. He's the vice president. What else? Okay. Well, one thing happened. First of all, that scene is the only scene that was shot in a tank because they needed clear water. And so that was held until the film was finished on Martha's Vineyard. And we had been on the vineyard for 6 months shooting. The original schedule of Jaws was May 2nd until June 28th. And we left the island on the 16th of September, unfinished. And we went to the Universal backlot to this tank. And they were setting up for that shot. And the head of the stuntmen's group came over to me, and on the day that we had sunk the boat, he had leapt out of the bottom of the boat to the wheel, and he was trying to get the boat onto the beach of Chappaquiddick Island. And he kept screaming at the top of his lungs, "This is the worst! This is the worst! Northwest Passage was not as bad as this. This is the worst!" Okay, thank you. And so some weeks or months later, we're in the tank. And he comes up to me and he says, if you want to ask for oxygen, don't come up and ask for oxygen. You just go, and I come to you. And you get what you need. And then he started to swim away, and he turned around and he said, and it's my own mixture. Now, I have no real experience with these people. Stuntmen, what does that mean to me? It means that they're the craziest sons of bitches who ever lived. And this is my own mixture meant that you did not feel loaded at all, but that you were willing and eager to work. That was the high. And that just meant slightly more of the laughing gas and slightly less than the oxygen. It was so great that I said to Steven Spielberg, who would never take a drug if a gun was not pointed at his head, I said, Steven, you have to take this. You have to just inhale it once, that's all it is. All these people are loaded on this stuff. You've got to try it. He wouldn't. He's an idiot. He's a member of the same organization. So,
okay.
I kept coming up and saying, what? And they would give me a shot, and they would tell me what they wanted to adjust. And apparently, I kept floating down below the level of the screen. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm kicking, I'm doing everything. Well, apparently, I wasn't really kicking. My brain was saying I was kicking. My legs were like sticks. And that's when I realized the potency of this stuff. And I had to use it on Poseidon, too. First day, I said, you got the special stuntman? Fun.
All right, last question.
Yeah, hello, Mike. Yeah, all right. So let's go on with the next one, shall we?
We shall.
Okay. I want to make sure that. Thank you again, Eric. It's been so nice of you to do that. Appreciate it. Let me just take this one down, and this one's going, and then now we've got the final. Look at Michael right there. Look at him. There is the guru.
Jesus.
The guru. Mark Gilpen, yeah. Oh, isn't it awesome? It's awesome. Eric the President. I love it. I love it. Here is the final video. And as you can see, it's Michael right there. And here we go. You ready, Mike? I'm going to bring us down.
All righty.
Or I won't go in. It's that bad.
Me too. Steven Spielberg and I will not walk in from the beach into the water. We will jump off a boat, but we will not walk in from the beach. And we stand there and we call ourselves Saul and Murray, because we're obviously two old Jews who can't, and we stand there like this. Nothing funnier. Nothing.
All right, everybody. I just want to say something real quick. 45 years ago, I wrote this man a fan letter, and I got a reply back, and my life has never been the same. Please give it up for Richard Dreyfuss.
And the tapes. And the
Oh my God, Michael, that's amazing.
The phone rang.
Yeah.
And Steven's assistant went to the phone.
Is he still going on?
And he said, hello? Oh,
Yep.
hi.
Okay, all right. I'll just mute
Tell him
that.
more.
No, he's here. Wow. Wow, okay, that's great. Hold on. Steven! And Steven comes to the phone and he says, hello? Oh, hi. No, I certainly will. Right away. Thank you. Puts the phone down, looks at all of us in the room and says, that was Robert Redford. He wants me to direct All the President's Men. What's it about? Does anyone not get the humor of that answer? 1974. All the President's Men. What's it about? I said to Stephen immediately, I will never, ever not tell this story. That's how focused Steven Spielberg was. And probably still is. And he's probably very wealthy.
So, round of applause.
That's
Yeah, I remember.
awesome.
Yes, his Svetlana, his wife, was kind of giving me the signal. So I said, "This is last question."
The signal.
And then I tried to wrap it up, and he stopped me because he wanted to tell this story about Steven Spielberg, and one of his assistants said, "Oh, he's going to tell everybody that Spielberg never shoots the last shot
Oh,
of
God.
a film, because if those you don't know the story, the last shot of the film that was of Jaws that was shot, Steven had heard that the crew was going to throw him overboard after the last shot was finished. So he left Martha's Vineyard, went back to California that night. So the next day, Joe Alves oversaw the last shot, which I believe is the explosion of the head. But then as Jaws did so well, Steven Spielberg, he will not be around when the last shot of the film is done. So if they got one more shot left, he leaves and lets his assistant do it. But I just thought that was, I'd never heard that story about, here you are in the throes of Watergate while you've been filming. President Nixon has resigned, and you have a new president. You have a new president since you started filming, and it's not an election year. And the fact that he wasn't aware of All the President's Men, I think, is pretty funny.
I love that, Mike. That was great. That was awesome. Thank you so much again, Eric. We really appreciate it. There was a question that Nate said to you, and
go ahead.
Michael told me a couple stories. He was president of the Roy Scheider fan club and president of the Richard Dreyfuss fan club. So he just wanted to know, you had his fan club for a long time, yes?
Right.
How were the interactions?
So what I did is the fan letter that I mentioned, and it hit me that it had been pretty much maybe this week right now, early September, 45 years that I wrote all three of them a fan letter, Roy, Robert, and Richard. I told the story on Facebook the other day that the day Robert Shaw passed, I went home and there was an envelope on my bed, and it was the autographed picture of Robert Shaw that I had asked for 18 months before. I got a letter from one of Scheider's reps, and I still have the letter. It's a little card, and it says, "We represent Roy, but he's not interested in a fan club." Turns out that was false. And then I got a note back, a little autographed picture of Richard, and a note from his cousin Arlene, who is running his fans club. And if I wanted to join it, it was $5. And I sent her $5 and said, "Anything I can do, let me know." And a couple weeks later, I get this giant box in the mail with pictures and a bunch of fan mail that fans had sent in. And all of a sudden, I was running Richard Dreyfuss's fan club.
That's awesome.
I don't know what happened to the $5, but it was the best $5 I ever spent. And Nate, the interaction was good. Same with Roy. If a particular fan sends something nice, or Roy would get a lot of letters from people he had served in the Air Force with. Most of his mail would either go to a studio or go to his publicist, Nancy Seltzer, and they would all forward it to me. And I had stack of pictures that Roy had signed that I would mail out. And but if it was something special or a fan sent in something really nice they wanted signed, I would send it to Nancy. Nancy would have Roy sign it. Richard was the same way. As I said, I talked a lot with his agent, Meyer Michigan. Very, very fan friendly, and he still is in this time and day and age where people have cameras everywhere and they're always bothering you. Richard is still very fan friendly. So yes, long story short, interaction was good and I had a good time. It was fun. It was fun to be a 17-year-old boy and have two movie stars as friends.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Not many people can say that either.
That's true. Sure. I'm sorry. I had a Kevin Spacey joke. Kevin Spacey joke was coming up, but I won't say
I was like, oh no. Oh no.
That's right. We are saying goodnight. Don't forget to check out Back in the Day. And one thing I noticed, I never knew that the last day of filming was my 74 was my 14th birthday. So that's kind of cool. I never knew that. So that's a great birthday present for me, everybody. The Jaws was completed. Everybody have a good week. Check out Back in the Day. Love you, Kelly. Fins up, everybody.
Bye. That was awesome, Mike. We love that. Thank you guys for coming. Oh, jeez, I didn't want to put that on there. I didn't want to put that on there.
That's okay. The kid with a hot dog.
Sam.
Have a good night, everybody.
Jane Jones Clark. Kelly Devlin. Antonio. Eric, thank you again. Robert McGinn. Victor. Sonia.
Antonio, message me. DM me your hotel question because now I'm curious.
Am I forgetting anybody else? I want to make sure. Oh, William Mayweather, thank you for coming on. Everybody, don't forget to share, like, and comment.